Hello, and welcome to this first of two video lectures covering material from Corey Floyd's Interpersonal Communication. This week we're going over Chapter 5, Language. In this video I'll be discussing the features of language. But first, what is language? Well, it's what I'm using right now. That is a structured system of symbols that are used to communicate meaning. Okay, that sounds super complicated. What does that mean exactly? Well, a structured system, that just means that it has definition. Literally, individual words have definition. And a symbol is when one thing means another thing. We talked about symbols a little back in Chapter 2 when we talked about symbols that represent a culture. For example, the symbols of the Longhorns. In this case, the symbols are usually words, but sometimes can be gestures, such as in sign language. And then these symbols that belong in this structured system are used to communicate meaning. That still sounds kind of complicated, so let's break it down, language into some distinct elements. Okay, first is that language is symbolic. That is, we have words made up of letters. The letters themselves are symbols that when placed in a certain order create words. These words are symbolic in that they represent something that they're not. For example, this is a pencil. Now, this is actually a pencil. This isn't a symbol for a pencil, it's a real pencil. But this is the word pencil. When you see these words in this order, it means pencil. And even though you don't see a pencil right now, you can think of a pencil in your brain. The order of the symbols makes a difference. As you can see, this set of letters is the same as this set of letters, but they're in a different order. This one has a meaning for us. But this one just doesn't have any meaning. It's just a jumble of letters. The next feature of language is that it is mostly arbitrary. That means that in almost all cases the words themselves have nothing to do with the object they represent. There is nothing inherent in this words that makes it this thing. It just is, because we all agree that's what it means. I could just as easily tell you that this word is a symbol for this thing. And if I got enough people to agree with me, well, bam! That's now a new word. Words are given meaning by humans arbitrarily, except in the case of onomatopoeia. Yeah, if you check your closed captioning, that word isn't spelled correctly. I'm sorry about that. Spell check failed me. The next feature of languages is that it is governed by rules. The 4 rules are phonological, meaning how to pronounce something; syntactic, the order of words to make sentences; semantic, the actual meanings of words; and pragmatic, that is the social and cultural information that can help us understand meaning even further. Remember this word? I didn't say it out loud earlier, but think about it. How do you think this word is pronounced? I bet you just thought the word frunk. But this is a made-up word. How do we both know how to pronounce this word? Ah! That is our phonological rules at play. Or is it phonological? Isn't it weird that the word meaning how to pronounce words isn't easy to pronounce? Yeah. Isn't language great? Another feature of words that has layers of meaning. All words have a clear denotative, that is the dictionary definition of the word. Denotative meaning. Denotative, dictionary. Get it? Easy to remember, huh? There are also connotative meanings to words. These are the implied or secondary meanings. Sometimes these meanings are loaded because of emotional or cultural impacts. For example, if I showed you this word, terrorism, I'll bet you can conjure up some pretty vivid imagery. Go ahead, write down what you think of when you hear the word terrorism. I'll give you a few seconds. Okay, so I'll bet you some of you wrote down things about terrorism inspired by radical religious views. In the past, I've had students write down 9/11 or World Trade Center. Some have even written down Muslim or Islam. These are some unfortunate associations that exist between the Islamic religion and terrorism. For the record, all of the Muslims I have known in my life, friends, students, colleagues, have been loving, peaceful people. Yet, some people still think of Muslims when they hear the word terrorism. Others might think of the KKK, a Christian-based organization that is engaged in acts of terrorism. While the KKK invokes Christianity, All of the Christian people in my life are, like my Muslim friends, full of love for others. And sometimes terrorism has nothing to do with religion. It is done in the name of liberty. Our founding fathers dumped a bunch of tea over the side of a boat in a pretty big act of terrorism in order to anger the British. The thing is, the denotative meaning of terrorism is to create change by instilling fear in others. But the connotative meaning goes so much deeper. The next feature is all about how language varies in clarity. We have a ladder of abstraction. We can be very vague. I can call something a thing, or we can be very specific. For example, this is a Staedtler brand number 2 pencil with black paint and a white eraser. It is generally good to avoid ambiguous language. Lots of miscommunication happens when we're not concrete. The final feature is that language is bound by context and culture. This is really prominent for those who speak more than one language. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis basically says that language itself influences how we see the world. And when we speak more than one language, we start to see the world in different ways. There are problems with this hypothesis, but it holds true for most of our experiences. The way we use language will shape the way we see the world. This is why I try to eliminate the word time management from my vocabulary, because it changes my relationship with time. I also try to eliminate the phrase, I didn't have a choice, because by getting rid of that phrase, I am able to see the world differently. The language we use, based on context and culture, has a lot to do with our worldview. Another Chapter 2 concept. See how it all connects together? Okay, that's it for this video. It was another fairly long one, but I'm proud of you for making it to the end. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Psst, I can't really see you right now, but it's just a nice thing to say, you know? Symbolically.